Hello there, and welcome to the Thunder Gals podcast. My name is Brittany, and I'm here with my co-host Paula. Paula, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit for us today? Tell us who you are and how you came to be an awesome Thunder fan in our fun NBA Threads community.
Yeah, so welcome. Hi, everybody. I'm a lifelong Oklahoman, but I actually did not grow up in a sports household. It wasn't a thing. And it wasn't until I was an adult that my mom actually um, let me know she was a Spurs fan. She had always been a Spurs fan. I'm like, where was this information throughout my
Right?
life? So then the Thunder comes here to Oklahoma. And so mom's like, well, let's watch some of this. And that I started, and I had no concept of sports. So of course I'm very much, let's pick a player. So I picked Harden. I picked Harden because he wasn't the 1 and 2. I was like, okay. Well, then the trade happens. And I'm
Oh,
like, okay. So then I'm just watching the team, and Russ, of course, becomes my number one, especially after everything. So I'm just going to say it right here off the bat, just so everyone's aware. I am a forever Russ stan. And so I will celebrate whatever he does, wherever he does. And I have the completely delusional thought that Samuel will bring him back in for a 10-day so he can retire as the Thunder and get that jersey raised. I'm delusional. Yes, I know this, but at least that's part of my process. But because of that, just watching with mom and over the years, you know, I I've just become obsessed with the Thunder. I just love them and enjoy them so much. So, how did you get started being a Thunder fan?
yeah. Well, hi, my name's Brittany. I'm an attorney and I grew up in Oklahoma, but have moved around the country here and there a bit. Spent time in California and Texas, and these days I live most of the time in Minnesota, but I'll be spending the winter in Oklahoma as well. Um, so I became a Thunder fan. I was always an NBA fan growing up, similar to your mom, but my team was the Mavericks. I grew up, in Oklahoma City, and our closest team when I was a kid was in Dallas. And so
Yeah.
the Dallas Mavericks were close. And then when I was in middle school, I lived there for a couple years in the Dallas area and got to go to several Mavericks games, including I got to see a game against the Rockets the year they won the championship, and
Oh
I
yeah.
got to sit courtside. And
Oh.
my oldest sister had a client who had courtside seats, and she took me to the game. And Robert Ory came up to her before the game to compliment her on her fur coat, and
Mm.
like they engaged in a little back and forth for a minute, and I was just awestruck. I'm like 13 years old and just like, oh my gosh, NBA players are like talking to us. This is wild. So always been a big fan of the game and followed the league a lot. Always wanted a team of our own. And so then in 2008, when we got the Thunder for reals, I was like, I literally had my office was like at Fourth and Hudson, so just like a couple blocks from
Mm-hmm.
Leadership Square where their initial offices were. And on that day I think it was August or September of '08 when they unveiled the name and logo. Because if you remember that first summer league that Russ was with the team, they wore these like generic black and white
Yeah.
uniforms that just
No
said
name.
Oklahoma City basketball. Like
Yeah.
that's all they said, just generic. So I was eagerly anticipating the debut of the name and the logo. And as I watched the press conference on my screen as I was in my office, and as soon as it came down, I was busy and I was like, you know what, whatever you're working on, it's not more important than going over and
No.
being one of the first people to get a new shirt. So I got my first Thunder t-shirt like literally the day they were on sale.
That's amazing.
So I've been a fan since day one. Since they got to OKC. I too am a Russ forever person. I actually kind of was on the Russ train, I think, earlier than a lot of folks. Um, I kind of noticed he was the driver of the team already in like 09-10 season. And I
Okay.
started kind of noticing, like, I don't know that KD's the man. Like, I kind of think
Be
Russ is
careful when
like
you
the
say
heart and
that,
soul. But yeah, it's not a snipe at KD. And maybe we'll talk one day a little bit more about the starting five on Netflix,
Oh, that has
which
been amazing. The second
I
season, they should have
I
just named it the Thunder
binged it.
season. 3 out of 5. Come on.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that was well planned because, like, that really, by having Harden, Durant, and Shea, it really gave us insight not just into these guys in their current moment, but insight into the past as well.
I wasn't prepared for some of that history. It's
Right?
too soon, too soon. And of course, it's been what, 15 years now.
I feel like the championship really kind of heals a lot of those wounds and makes it
Yeah.
easier to now just look back with kind of fresh eyes and not feel quite the sting of the heartbreak anymore.
I can see where you would feel that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
this is, you know, this has just been an amazing thing for the city to have this championship and to have embraced the team from its history, from the previous big three of KD, Russ, and Harden. And then we had the heartbreak, and we were very spoiled, in my opinion. We were
Oh,
super spoiled as a fan base to go to the finals so early, and then to have the seasons of challenges and then the rebuild. Like, we didn't know what to do. We had never been through that. And I have a friend who's a Mavs fan, and he's like, you just don't know. You'll find it'll come in waves. And I think that this new group, again, this championship, I think it's made a world of difference to the team, the organization, and the city.
absolutely. And one of the things that struck me, it came up in starting five, it came up in Loud City. It's obviously come up in any Thunder fans,
Yeah.
watchings, if you watch stuff, is that one of the first things that Sam Presti does when new players join the organization is sets them up with private personal tours of the bombing memorial.
Yep.
Um, those
It's
of
very
us who
important.
grew up in Oklahoma City, we understand exactly how important that is, and why that's so important. Um, and I found it even really neat that they put it on the championship ring.
That was
Um,
so
a little,
special.
yeah,
Those rings are gorgeous. I mean,
right.
they are so gorgeous. And to have a separate ring that they can put on and wear just around. But when you flip it over and you see the arch with the two stones, it's just, I caught my breath. I was like, that's very Samuel. That is, it's just so memorable, and I think it really speaks to how tied the city is with the organization.
Yeah. And so, Paula and I have been talking, and one of the reasons we're talking to y'all today out there is, we feel like there's kind of a missing space in Thunder media world where pretty much all of the podcasters are men. All the writers are men. Jenny Carlson occasionally will write about the Thunder or do some Thunder related stuff, but overall, like, outside of her, there's almost no women or really anyone else talking about the Thunder. And
Outside of the Thunder organization,
yes,
Paris does an amazing
obviously
job.
we're all Paris stands here. I
For real.
actually I got to meet her in person 2 years ago. I went to the Thunder's Women in Business event they do in
Mm.
March. for
Okay.
like the Women's History Month initiative. And Paris was the MC and like got to stuck around to hang out and talk with everybody afterwards. And she is just as down to earth and easy to talk to in person as she seems on camera.
I love that. Love that.
She's amazing. So, outside of her, we don't get a lot of women's perspective of fandom on the team. And frankly, a lot of folks I think even miss how much crap Michael Cage gives her that's like clearly based in like sexism when he
Mm-hmm.
tries to quiz her on basketball knowledge stuff. Like, why her? Why do you not do that to Nick? Like he's
Yeah, I've noticed. Yeah, you see
always
that.
picking on Paris. And it's like we've all, those of us who are women, we've been in those situations in the workplace, in our careers, in our lives. It's something we notice, but I've never heard any other like Thunder personality bring this up or mention it, that like she handles that with grace and is always able to just handle it and deal with it like a professional and not get flustered. And it makes me respect her even more to be able to carry herself the way she does.
Absolutely.
So yeah, see, great example of why we're here today and why we want to bring a little bit of a new perspective to y'all. Um, so Paula being in Oklahoma right now, I am
Mm-hmm.
not. I'm up in Minnesota at the moment. Paula was lucky enough to secure herself a ticket to Tuesday night's ring night, banner night festivities.
Yes.
Paula, I have seen some photos. I would love to hear about your experience on Tuesday evening.
So shockingly, I almost didn't go because I thought, okay, the cost is going to be too prohibitive. I'm just, I set myself up here at home. I've got a big screen TV. I've got a comfy recliner. I've got a bathroom 10 feet from me and a kitchen with drinks, on the other side. But I thought, nope, I need to go. This is the only time you are going to see Oklahoma raise the banner for the first time, and the first time that they will ever have a ring ceremony. You can't recapture this. Even if they go back to back, they it's not going to be the same. So first is first. So I said, yep, I'm going to the show. So even from the parking garage all the way to the arena, the atmosphere was just so joyous and happy, and everybody was so excited to be going to the arena and see. It was, it was chaos because there were so many people, but everybody was in good spirits, and it was great. Now, the ticket I got was up in Loud City, and it was worth it because everyone was so happy. Everybody was high-fiving and loving it. And when they did the ring ceremony, I choked up because I was like, "Oh, look at these guys! They're, And Shay, if you saw the video of Shay, he was like strutting when he opened it because he was like, "Yeah." And then they were showing all the guys getting their rings fitted, and they're showing them up to the big camera, and everybody's just cheering and yelling, and it was amazing. But when they raised the banner, and I didn't think about it till after this, but the guys went up and they actually touched the banner,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was done. Like my heart was like, I am so full. I'm so happy right now because you think about it. Once that bad boy's raised, nobody's touching it again. You
Yeah.
look at it, you point at it, you take pictures of it, but nobody touches it. And these guys got to, appreciate that. And it was just so amazing because the entire arena was just a big love fest right then. It was just, you know, it was amazing. And then the game, double overtime, double overtime in a season opener. Like we
Right.
had adrenaline going, but Jiminy Christmas, everyone was drained, but we were all still happy. Even leaving the arena, I cannot say enough about how magnificent it was to be there on opening. If I never go to another game, which knock on every bit of wood, I will be so happy because this was a once in a lifetime thing. So I'm sorry you weren't here, but when you come down, we'll get to go to games.
Yes, I'm so glad you got to be there. Did you get one of the little mini banners that I
I
guess
did.
they were
I got a
handing
little
out?
mini banner. They also gave us a hat. I should have brought it in here with me. But when you walked in, they gave everybody a hat. So everybody had these, hats throughout, and then everybody was scrambling for a mini banner. It was like I said, it was chaos, but I have my program from that night too. So
Ah,
but I
that's
but I like to
amazing.
collect the little memorabilia, which just while we're talking about championship, you see this?
Oh,
From the
that's
parade.
confetti.
From the parade. I
Awesome.
was like, okay, I'm getting something, and this is amazing. So I just love the little memorabilia that we've been able to have to commemorate that amazing season.
That's amazing. Well, awesome. I'm so glad you got to be at ring night. Yes, we on TV watching on NBC Sports, the return of the NBA on NBC, which
Yes.
it sounds like you kind of joined fandom like after the NBC coverage, but
Yeah.
as someone who grew up in the Jordan and Barkley era, and like that was just music to my ears growing up, when it was NBA on NBC time. And I
Was it
used
Round
to,
Ball Rock?
yes, Round Ball Rock by John Tesh. The music was great. They really featured Oklahoma City a lot in like graphics and like video and like live shots like swooping into downtown.
Oh
Like
wow.
there was a
I'll
lot
have
of
to go
real,
back
it
and
was
watch that.
really well done as far as like featuring the city. And you could really, it's amazing to look at it now with Scissortail Park there and the new convention center. It just looks so much more like well put together compared to when we made the finals in 2012, and like there was still all that like I-40 construction and like
Mm-hmm.
everything was kind of a mess, and it was like, oops, we kind of got too good too fast and we weren't quite ready to show off yet.
Yeah, I don't think any of us expected to be good so fast, but this build into the team we have now, I'm telling you. And
Grew even faster.
I know nobody expected a 2-year rebuild, but the
No.
guys the guys are amazing, and people are going to come for them this season. They're the reigning champs. Look at
They
look at
are.
Indianapolis last night.
Oh yeah.
The
I
Some of the
I saw
thinking was
people joking on NBA threads that it was like game 8 of the finals.
seriously, because we didn't know what to expect, with Tyrese still down, and looking like
And
the
no
subs.
TJ McConnell either. So like
It's
he was
true.
kind of a thunder killer.
Yeah. TJ Tyrese over there looking like your substitute math teacher on the bench, just cracking me up. But they made the Thunder work. I'm two overtimes, double overtimes, not just once in a season, twice in a week. Like,
Yeah.
as Shay said when he was on the ground, I am tired.
I'm tired.
But
Well, I was
you
tired.
see,
I was like, I'm just watching and I'm tired. Like, I can't even imagine.
I know. I was like, I don't want to do anything for 47 minutes, let alone twice in a week where everybody's watching. What was it I said? I said, do they know that they don't need to play an extra 10 minutes every game?
Well, my husband had a funny comment. He's like, well, I guess the Thunder can win without J-Dub. It's just a closer game.
It's true. That's one thing. That's one thing a lot of people didn't talk about on Tuesday in the game opener. Yeah, it went to double overtime and they won, but they didn't have J-Dub.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see. I mean, we'll never know if they could have shut it down sooner if J-Dub was playing, but that's a strong piece not being
And that,
there.
hey, totally worth it to win the championship.
Completely. completely.
Totally worth it. Glad he stuck it out. He's legendary now. The legend of
Forever.
J-Dub will be foretold from here forward.
Always looking at his wrist, you know? Yes.
Oh goodness.
So it's been a good week to be a Thunder fan.
Yeah, great week to be a Thunder fan, but also the cinema. I want to go back to the opening night because you talked about it. We had no J-Dub, but we were up against somebody who was kind of integral to our first generation team, Mr. Kevin Durant.
Yes,
And
he was in the building.
and he missed a free throw towards the end of regulation that allowed Ty to hit or allowed Shea to hit the game tying shot.
Mm-hmm.
Then he really should have lost the game for them in the first overtime when he tried calling a timeout they did not have, and the refs decided to swallow the whistle and pretend they didn't see him calling for timeout
We
rather
saw it in
rather
Loud
than
City.
calling the technical.
Yes.
18,000 other people saw it. Somehow the guys whose job it is to watch the ball and watch what's happening,
they put it up on the Jumbotron, and they kept replaying it and replaying it and replaying it. And you look at the refs, and none of them were looking up. Like none of them would be like,
it's just like
yeah,
and
we're all like, ah.
They knew what they did, and the last 2-minute report called him out for it. Said, "Yup,
Sure did.
that was a bad call. That should have been a technical."
Yep.
Luckily, we win it in overtime too, so that ends up not being a story. But how do we win it in overtime too? But it's Shea versus KD, the new face of the franchise, the new MVP who didn't just get the MVP but brought home the title, taking on KD. He baited KD into fouling him.
Mm-hmm. He is so smooth. Shea is so smooth with that. There's just no.
And we win the game. I want to hit the fat free throw merchant thing for a minute. For as much as people call Shea a free throw merchant, the NBA has not had to change its rules because of anything Shea does. But us Thunder fans remember, they literally changed the NBA rule about the rip through move.
Yep.
Kevin Durant getting so many free throws because he'd do that circle with his hands.
Harden,
and as soon as he got the arm, he'd throw the ball. And because the ref was like, well, I can't say he didn't intend to shoot it, they would call it a shooting foul.
Yep.
And he got so many extra free throws from it, they changed the damn rule. That's a fucking free throw merchant.
That is. You get him, you get Harden. I mean, now granted, those are all MVP players. But Shea,
drawing fouls is something star players are good at.
Yes.
Every player in the NBA tries to. The stars are really good at it.
Yeah, they really are. They are. But it was really neat to see history, present, and future on the court together for that particular night.
Wow. It's just pure cinema. And, it worked because apparently highest rated opening night game in the NBA since 2010, when LeBron James was making his debut with the Miami Heat in their new Big Three.
Yep.
That's how long it's been since they had this kind of ratings for an opening night. So don't tell me small market teams can't get eyeballs. Because now that we the champs, the champs, them eyeballs are following. They are following now.
And that's why I'm so happy that we're starting this to bring, other people along with us as we go through this season. I'm so excited to get started doing this.
Yes. So, I don't we don't want to keep y'all too long. It's a new show. We're gonna try and learn as we go here.
Mhm.
Um, because of this story breaking this week and kind of how big it is and kind of how much it's getting talked about, I'd feel like we'd be kind of doing a disservice if we didn't talk about this a little bit as well. The
Mhm.
the gambling quote unquote scandal. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm sure you all have heard Terry Rozier, NBA player for the Miami Heat's been arrested. Chauncey Billups, the coach of the Portland Trailblazers, and Damon Jones, an assistant coach and former player, are the three people who have been named. Um, I want to bring a different perspective to this issue. I keep seeing a lot of coverage that's really credulous about the details and the case and looking at it really discreetly from everything else that's going on culturally and politically. And I think if we do that, we might miss something here. I'm an attorney, so I have a lot of experience in legal matters, and I've been part of big cases that include a lot of media and a lot of media coverage and how you do your press conferences and how you sell your cases. And so I want to bring that perspective to this because it's something nobody's talking about. Why why in the world is Cash why is he at this press conference? And why, if they arrested 30 people and this is this wide ranging thing and it involves mobsters and this, that, and the other, are the only three names and faces that were given in that press conference the three black men associated with the NBA and none of the men associated with the mob, none of these other people. And from the details I've read in the indictments, you know, it sounds like these cases aren't even fully all connected. Um, Terry Rozier was sharing inside information about, hey, I'm gonna leave this game early kind of thing with some bettors. Bad, don't get me wrong, bad, deserves to be punished, deserves whatever charges are coming, but a case like that would normally just come from the US attorney for whatever district it happened in, and that person would announce the case. There would no FBI director would not come all the way out for like that case. And then, the Chauncey Billups accusations have something to do with like poker games, not even
Mhm.
related to basketball gambling. And it sounds like he wasn't even really a mastermind. It's unclear how much he really even knew. It's possible he was being used as a pawn without even knowing that that game was rigged. Basically, he was recruited to be this big name NBA player for this high stakes poker game. So he'd be somebody that would draw people to want to put money into this high stakes poker game that was an illegal, under the table poker game, not a legally sanctioned game in Vegas or something. This was an under the table illegal game. But
I heard that there
it's
was,
not clear he knew how much was involved there.
yeah, I think the interesting thing with the Chauncey Billups case was I saw a video of a professional poker player from 2023 that actually called out Chauncey for leading the poker game, hosting the game, and that they were finding that only the pro players were, losing the rounds and things like that. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that was their perspective. And the pros stopped, like it went through the pro network, pro grapevine. Nobody wanted to do, with them anymore. And one of the, things that I think that they're pointing fingers at Chauncey is because in the indictment, there is a description of an unnamed defendant that has, or unnamed person that played and coached, and all of the dates lined up with Chauncey. So,
Sure.
but my question is, it's like, if this was known in 2023 or publicly talked about, why now? What's going on now? And I think they took the opportunity because you had two threads that connected in the NBA. You had two NBA individuals. So they just made it one broad reaching announcement and painted the NBA with one broad brush. And as things tend to go in the media, it probably will never be addressed separately again, if at all. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
And
just,
that was a choice. And so to me, that's a political choice. And then Stephen A. Smith got on TV and was like, Donald Trump is coming for the NBA. And Stephen A. is kind of a right winger and pretty tight with some MAGA people. Like, if he's saying Trump's coming for the NBA, he's not joking. You know why Trump and MAGA will come after the NBA? Because it's the mostly black league. It's got the most progressive viewership of all the major sports. It's a cultural institution that isn't bowing to MAGA's anti-woke, anti-DEI, anti anybody who's not a straight white American, view. And so I think this is, while I do agree there are likely, criminal charges that are probably legit within this and that those investigations aren't illegitimate. I think the way Kash Patel came in and pulled these disparate cases and brought them together into this one moment and has this press conference at the same time that Trump is literally pardoning a Chinese crypto fraudster who has sent Trump millions of dollars through cryptocurrency buys and gets pardoned. This guy committed hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud. And if you notice in Kash Patel's press conference about these NBA guys, he made a big point. We're not talking tens of millions in fraud. We're talking hundreds of millions in fraud. And it's that old fascist canard of accuse them of what you're doing. And so it really rang to me like we're both A, attacking an institution that's not bowing down to us, and B, we are going to do this in a way that we're trying to paint them as the real criminals while we're hiding the criminal stuff we're doing over here. And
but
so I, I
it's such a missed opportunity for them, I think, because basketball is, while there are a lot of, very progressive ideas that are represented and things like that, it's bipartisan a game,
it
and
is.
they have quite a fan base on both sides of the aisle, and
They
they
do.
haven't embraced it. They have focused on, other sports, and it's a missed opportunity to be inclusive to all the fan bases. And it will be interesting to see how they move forward with the messaging towards the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
going forward. So,
It's
but
it's
yeah, it's a
something
big
to keep
story
an
this
eye
week.
on. I
Yeah, it's a
I I felt it would be remiss to not bring some context to this conversation, because while there is some real stuff there, and there's some real gambling issues that the NBA does need to handle, I just don't want us to, miss the forest for the trees and not understand that this case
yeah.
is not happening in a vacuum, and it's not a mistake that Kash Patel was directly involved in this press conference. And we should all be a little bit on alert to like, how are they trying to like use this to turn us
How to
against
frame it.
our league.
And the NBA's embrace of sports betting, that's a whole other topic. So we'll
And
we'll save
everyone's
that.
doing it. The NFL's they're all embracing it
Yeah.
right now. So
But
it's
none of
something
none
that
of
needs to
them
be dealt with.
none of them had, like, ESPN taking away their Cryon at the bottom, taking away their ESPN and sports
The
bets in the
ESPN
middle of
bet
it.
Chiron. Whoop, let's just pull that.
Oopsie.
Anyway, well, we've kept
Anyway,
y'all long enough. We're gonna start off, we're gonna try and do this once a week here out of the gate. Depending on how many of y'all listen, how y'all like it, we might up the amount we do it. If you would like to email us, we are thethundergals@gmail.com. So if you have questions or topics you want to hear us talk about, send those in. I'm getting us set up on Threads as the Thunder Gals on Threads as well. I'm oklasotagal on Threads. Paula's currently at Older Girl Beauty on Threads. And yeah, go find us there and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.